Biodiversity is a very prominent feature of planet Earth. Without its presence, it is not possible to imagine the existence of life on Earth. Intergovernment Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services have released Global Assessment Report on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services in 2019. The main goal of this report is to bring attention to the loss of biodiversity, climate change, invasive species over exploitation of natural resources, pollution, and urbanization. So this is the fact report. This is the fact. We are connecting with the human nature. What is the Intergovernment Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services? So I'm telling you, it is an international and intergovernmental agencies whose object is to increase the science policy interaction for biodiversity and ecosystem services. It is basically intended to promote biodiversity conservation and sustainable development. Like I'm telling you, the IPBES officially has 137 member nations. But IPBES membership is open to any country that is a member of the United Nations. So IPBES is not affiliated with the United Nations. IPBES, on the other hand, receives secretariat services from the United Nations. Environmental program, what is the global assessment report on biodiversity and ecosystem services? This is the basic question we have to find out. So the assessment overarching goal is to determine the current state and trend in biodiversity and ecosystem services also. So it also evaluates the effect of biodiversity and ecosystem services on human well-being, as well as the efficacy of remedies such as the strategic plan for biodiversity and Aichi biodiversity. Like copy and paste, it's not the matter. You know what? If we are talking about biodiversity, the report examines trends over the last 5 decades, presenting a comprehensive view of the interrelationship between sustainable growth and environmental repercussions. So that's the fact actually. All the facts are based on the actual report. The question is this: what are Aichi biodiversity targets? So we officially known as Strategic Plan for Biodiversity 2011 to 20 provides a set of 20 ambitious yet achievable targets. It's actually divided into 5 sections, like A to E. We can consider like this. So collecting known as the Aichi target for biodiversity, you know. So there are some goals I'm going to tell you, like a strategic goal A. So address the underlying causes of biodiversity loss by mainstreaming biodiversity across governmental and society. So like in goal B, strategic goal B, if I'm telling you, so reduce the direct pressure on biodiversity and promote sustainable use. And in goal C, to improve the status of biodiversity by safeguarding ecosystems, you know, and species and genetic diversity. In Goal D, we can say enhance the benefit to all from biodiversity and ecosystem services. And in Goal E, enhance implementation through participatory planning, knowledge management, and capacity building. So, what is causing stress to earth carrying capacity? What is causing stress to earth carrying capacity? Question is this. In the ecology, carrying capacity may be defined as the maximum number of the species that can be sustained by any ecosystem. So the carrying capacity of the ecosystem have increased multiple folds, and the availability of ecosystem services will rise as the carrying capacity of the ecosystem increases. So this is the truth, actually. This is the fact I'm telling you. So all the facts are on the actual basis report. In ecosystem services can provide benefit only when the health of an ecosystem and conservation of biodiversity remain in focus. So the conservation of biodiversity has a direct connection with the pollution control measures of the air, water, and soil. So these three are the main components. Okay, so the availability of high quality drinking water, enough food, and healthy habitats can only be ensured when ecosystem services will continue by conserving the biodiversity of the ecosystem without affecting nature's balance. It is our responsibility. It is your responsibility, and certainly in our interest to respect the environment, whether we approach it from an environmental culture or a religious perspective. So how does UNESCO support biosphere and reserve ecosystem? So how does so the World Network of Biosphere reserve intended to increase the number of biosphere reserve in the globe by establishing new biosphere reserve whenever and wherever is possible. So if I'm talking about the United Nations Education, so United Nations Educational Scientific and Cultural Organization, and it's established one of the best mechanism which is known as the World Network of Biosphere. It is the world best mechanism that I'm talking about, the World Network of Biosphere Reserve. So the World Network of Biosphere Reserve was created in 1971. Biosphere Reserve are basically promoting the cooperation and coexistence of the places where human live in harmony with nature. So that's the main spirit of that. The first Biosphere Reserve was established in Sri Lanka, which is known as Hurulu. It's a it's a little bit very difficult to pronounce it. Just like the Hurulu. So Biosphere Reserve in 1977, that was UNESCO designated India's first Biosphere Reserve in the Blue Mountain of the Nilgiris in 2000. And the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve spread across 3 states like Tamil Nadu and Karnataka and Kerala. So the World Network of Biosphere Reserve now count 18 sites from India in the list of Biosphere Reserve. Panna Biosphere Reserve, it is in Madhya Pradesh. So Madhya Pradesh included in the list, I think Panna Biosphere listed in 2020. So glacier ecosystem, lake ecosystem, and alpine ecosystem all are present in Bhutan, India, and Nepal. So South Asia is well blessed with the number of biosphere reserves. The Kanchenjunga Biosphere Reserve established in 2018. It is blessed with some of the highest, ecosystem in the world. So Kanchenjunga Biosphere Reserve inculcates within itself a variety of species of orchids, and other species of flora and fauna, we can say. So like the major activities associated with these biosphere reserve are crop production, like animal husbandry, fishing, dairy products, and poultry farming, and nomination of any site to be designated as a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve lies with the national government and approved by UNESCO. What steps can be taken in order to reduce the stress? What steps can be taken to order to reduce the stress? Science-based management, if I'm talking about, to plans should be the primary focus of the UNESCO Biosphere Reserve. As far as protection of biological diversity is concerned, and scientific research and monitoring for biodiversity conservation, clean energy, climate, environmental, like education, water conservation, and waste management. All these are the essential to protect biodiversity and ecosystem. So the aim is to detect changes, and find solution to increase climate resilience. So that's the fact actually. If I'm talking about the country like Bangladesh, Bhutan, and Nepal are on a UNESCO priority list because they do not have any biosphere reserve. They don't have. The argument is that with at least one biosphere reserve in each country, will promote the sense of optimism. It will promote it. They create the sense of optimism. The International Day for Biological Diversity promotes the spirit of biodiversity conservation. And so celebration of biological diversity day basically, revisiting the sense of the responsibility and instigating the hidden approaches inside us to protect our environment. If I'm going to tell you the local solutions then and the best practices for the conservation and restoration of the species of flora and fauna should be, I think, it should be promoted along with the evaluation of sustainable development, human life, and environmental protection. Okay. So thanks for watching.